Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Obierika. I think that I feel like I look a bit orange, so let's switch up the light together. Let's see. Sorry, that's my wire. Oranger. Okay, I think this works. Okay, okay, perfect. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I think I already started with that. It's your girl Obierika in the building, and in today's video we're going to be talking about asthma types. Okay, I feel like this my whole look today is just not the regular me. I mean, I have popping hair, popping eyeshadow, popping everything, but yeah, we're going to go with it. Okay, anyway, so in today's video we're going to be talking about types of asthma, and I got this information that I'm going to talk to you guys about from, I wrote it down, you guys already know, from the newsmedical.net. And this article that I got most of my research from was written by Dr. Lee Thomas. So I'm going to link the entire article in the description box if you want to go and read it up, because I tried my best to summarize as much as possible, but it was really bulky. If you're new here, I'm a YouTuber based in Abuja, Nigeria. I film videos on asthma awareness, lifestyle and hair care, and you're welcome to another video. So guys, before we go into the types of asthma that we have, I'm going to try and redefine asthma. I think I subtly defined asthma in my asthma reveal video, but I feel like that has been like over a year ago, so I might as well reiterate the meaning of asthma as described by this article. So I'm going to be reading from my book, you guys already know. So asthma is a respiratory condition in which the lung passage becomes hyper responsive to different types of stimuli, which causes the smooth muscle wall of the bronchial passage to contract, along with the swelling of the mucous membrane lining of the airways. This is accompanied by excess mucus production, and all these lead to airway narrowing, which results in symptoms like wheezing, breathlessness, and coughing and tightness of chest and all of that. So basically, asthma is a constriction of your airways, which is caused by the release of excess mucus in your airways. Okay, so now that we're done with that definition, maybe I'll leave the definition on the screen. If I'm feeling generous, I'll leave the definition on the screen, but you can always Google what asthma is and what it is all about. So just going to dive right into the types of asthma that we have. So we're going to just list them out. We have intermittent asthma, seasonal allergic asthma, non-seasonal allergic asthma, exercise-induced bronchoconstriction asthma, occupational asthma, chronic asthma, and adult onset asthma. Now, asthma occurs in different patterns, like different strokes for different folks. Like you can have someone that is asthmatic that will not be having triggers that another person will be having. So in this video, I'm just going to be breaking down the types of asthma according to this article and my personal experience. So guys, I did a lot of writing, a lot of writing. So I'm going to go back to my high school days where I used to be a newscaster, and I'll be looking down into my book, and I'll do my best to keep eye contact with you, my audience. Are you ready for anchor host Debbie Obierika? Let's do this. Okay, so the first asthma we have is the intermittent asthma. I tried my best to make this as simple as possible, so I'll be defining the word intermittent. Intermittent means occurring at irregular intervals or not continuous. Okay, so now intermittent asthma simply refers to a type of asthma that occurs irregularly and less frequently. Okay, the individual could go a long time without having an attack, like a long time, like you go weeks without having any symptoms, no tightness in the chest, nothing. Also, sometimes the asthmatic symptoms resolve spontaneously, like you don't necessarily have to use an inhaler or take a tablet. You can just, walk out of the area that you're having triggers and you will start to feel better. In patients with intermittent asthma, viral infections of the respiratory tracts, which are similar to the viral infections that lead to common cold, are usually a common trigger. According to this article, it said that this kind of asthma is usually found in children from the ages 2 to 5 who usually have 8 to 12 viral infections over the year, which would also cause them to have like wheezing, tightness in their chest and all of that, and then they're back to normal. Okay, so the next one is seasonal allergic asthma. Now, this type of asthma occurs when there's a seasonal release of allergies such as pollens that occur in the environment. So it simply means that this kind of asthma if this is your type of asthma, it simply means that when seasons change, you start to have issues. Like maybe there's a particular season that affects you more than the other season. I think in my weathers video, I talked about the different kind of weathers that affect you, which are also seasons as well. So you can check that out. I'll keep it linked here. Okay, so during the seasons rather, especially the wet seasons, mold spores are also a cause of seasonal asthma. So in these periods, things are released into the environment that could irritate your airways. For the wet season, it could be mold, like that's like damp. You have all those damp smells and all of that. Then you could also have like pollens in the air released after rain has fallen and all of that. It is also important for you to understand how your local climate, what did I just say? Did I say local climate? The Igbo girl in me has come to say local climate. Okay, so it is important for you to understand how your local climate and your allergy level vary from season to season. Like for me, I think I've mentioned that rainy season is not a very good period for me, and I didn't realize it until this year when I moved to Abuja, and the rains were a bit different from the rains in the south. And I also mentioned rather how Harmattan too is really, really bad for me because the air is really, really dry, and then I'm extra sensitive to every smell in the air. Okay, so yeah, that's it about what do they call it, seasonal what, allergic asthma. All right, so let's go to the next one. Now the next one is non-seasonal allergic asthma. I feel like I'm not talking to you guys because I have to read. Okay, so I'm going to apologize for asthma videos. I might be a bit serious because I really don't want to say things off the top of my head and it is not accurate. Okay, so non-seasonal allergic asthma is the next one, but before I get to that, I want you to know that not everyone that has allergies is necessarily asthmatic, and not every asthmatic necessarily has allergies. Does that make sense? Like you can have allergies and not be asthmatic. My brother, for example, has acute allergies. I can sweep a dusty place and probably cough once or twice. If my brother gets a whiff of dust, he will have a running nose all day. He'll be sneezing all day, but he has no form of asthma. Like he doesn't use an asthmatic inhaler. He uses the regular, nasal inhalers. Okay, and they also have asthmatics that do not have any allergies. Theirs could be triggered by regular, maybe pollutants or something. Like for me now, dust is not really a problem for me. I can actually be in a place where there's dust and not feel too uncomfortable. Okay, so some people do not have allergies and they're asthmatic, and some people have allergies and they're not asthmatic. Okay, so the non-seasonal allergic asthma. This type of allergic asthma, the triggers are not related to season, but may be due to a hyperreaction of the airway mucus to things that are not necessarily allergic. Okay, so now these include viruses, air pollutants. I mentioned it could be sewage smell, it could be burning of the bush, it could be what they call it could be cooking fumes from like food, not necessarily fumes from food, like that vapor from food, excess spicy fume. It could be the smoke from the car exhaust. It could be a lot of things. It could also be tobacco. It could be paint smell. It could be heavy exercise. So this thing hasn't to do with the seasons. They're just things, pollutants and irritants that are present in your environment in season and out of season. So that's what non-seasonal allergic asthma is all about. Then we have the exercise-induced bronchoconstriction. Did I get that right? We have the exercise-induced bronchoconstriction. Now, I as a person, I hate exercising, okay, because it keeps me breathless and sometimes I have to use my inhaler. But then I found out that what I could do to be able to exercise without, feeling uncomfortable would be to use my inhaler right before I take a jog or a walk, and always keep myself hydrated. So now let us go to the Google's definition of exercise induced bronchoconstriction. Okay, now this term is used when a bout of exercise is followed by the narrowing of the airways. It may be found in 80% of asthmatics. However, not all EIBs, that's the code name for exercise-induced bronchoconstriction, not all EIBs occur in asthmatic patients. It can actually happen to a normal person because, if you're not properly hydrated and you're doing really strenuous physical activity, it could cause you to be breathless and you feel like your lungs are collapsing and stuff. So yeah, it is caused by dehydration, which I already said, and heating up. So I've explained this thing to you before where I say when I'm sweating or when the place is hot, I start to cough and it makes me uncomfortable, and then I need to drink a lot of water and all of that. So yeah, so these things occur when strenuous physical activities happen, because normally when you are jogging or you're picking up a weight or you're running on a treadmill, you're sweating, you're losing fluids, you're getting dehydrated. So it's very, very normal for your for you to be running out of breath, and if you have asthma, it might be a little bit worse for you. But not to worry, oh, not to worry. No me say no for exercise, okay? So now usually these things occur where there's dry climate. I think in the wetter seasons, like in the rainy season or the colder seasons, you will not sweat as much as, and the place not be as hot as, so you might be able to exercise better indoors, please, in wet seasons or colder seasons. Okay, so now in children with asthma, it is often the first symptom to develop. Usually for little children with asthma, it's usually the first symptom to develop. You notice that when your child is playing and just runs a little distance, he has fallen down and he's not breathing properly, it's totally normal, because I mean his airways are a bit different from the other children that he's playing with. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to the next page. Now, it doesn't mean that if you have this type of asthma, which I already mentioned, you cannot participate in activities that are physically strenuous. You just have to be careful, like I already mentioned. For me, if I want to jog, which I don't like, whether I had asthma or I didn't have asthma, I will not be jogging. I drink water, use my inhaler, or if I don't feel like my inhaler, I take a tablet early in the morning, drink some water, always carry my water flask, and I don't jog like other people. I make it slower, I take breaks in between and all of that. So you're good and fine. You can actually exercise as an asthmatic patient. Okay, so now the next one is occupational asthma. Now this one is something that I can't really relate to and I can relate to at the same time. I usually feel that this kind of asthma is related to machine workers, people that work in factories, that are around paints, around chemicals and all of that. This kind of asthma usually could be triggered when you're around those kind of things. Now, you know that this is an occupational asthma when it is only when you're in the office that you are having your symptoms. You're uncomfortable, you are coughing, your airway is constricted, and then when you get home or when you leave the workspace, your breathing is more relaxed. You know that there's something in your work environment that is causing you to be more reactive and all of that. That's why I said I kind of narrow it down to factory workers, people that work around chemicals and paint and all of that, and maybe some machines that release some kind of odor maybe when they are processing stuff. So if this is your kind of asthma, you need to find out what is in your workplace that is affecting you, and you either quit the job if it is absolutely necessary, or maybe start to use a nose mask or take your tablets every time you are going to work so that you don't feel too uncomfortable. Okay, so now the next one we have is the chronic asthma, aka the persistent asthma. So now let me just define what chronic means. Okay, chronic means constantly reoccurring. This one is the opposite of the intermittent asthma. This one, it means that every other minute you're having an asthmatic crisis. In this case, you are a serious, I don't know how to say it now, your case is very, very serious. You cannot be careless with your medication and carrying your inhaler up and down. But let me read what I have written. Now, this condition is defined by daily symptoms or those which reoccur several times a week. People like this can have crisis every single day. When I was first diagnosed, this was the story of my life. And then people will be looking at me funny, like, are you the person that has asthma? The other person, the other girl too in that hostel, does she have asthma? But you're always the one having crisis. Please, people of God, understand that there are different types of asthma and people's triggers are different. How their crises occur or their attacks occur are different. Don't be throwing comments like that. It really made me feel bad because they kept saying, oh, she's faking it, she wants attention, she wants to be leaving school to go to the hospital. They had an idea that going to the hospital meant I'll be injected with multiple needles, and I'll have an oxygen mask all over my face. I won't be able to walk just to go and pee and all of that. But yeah, I forgive you all, but I remember. I forgive you all, but I remember. But yeah, now, the intensity of the symptoms vary, but there are no long periods without symptoms. So if this is your type of asthma, you need to sit and ask yourself, like, how often do I have a crisis? Like, for me now, it has reduced. It started becoming less in 2020 when I moved back from Lagos in 2019. Before now, I used to have this every other minute. Now, I can stay for, I think in Abuja, I stayed for a stretch of 6 months, and I didn't have any serious out of the earth kind of crisis. So I think now I'm in intermittent, and then also I'm a bit of seasonal, and what's that other one? Seasonal and non-seasonal as well, because things irritate me like fumes and all of that. But yeah, so now the other one, which is the last but not the least, which actually defines my original story, which is adult onset asthma. Although I was a teenager, will I call myself an adult? Okay, so I don't think it relates to me. So adult onset asthma. So now most asthma cases begin in childhood. Like most people are born with asthma and then they outgrow it. While some people, it starts maybe in their teen years or in their... I have my friend's mom. It started when she was like 21 or 20 and she still has it till date, okay? So it varies for different people. So now, but some people have their first symptoms in their adult life. Usually they say that it is usually... when you are exposed to something that you had never experienced, maybe growing up, maybe you move to a new city, your flatmate brings in a pet, you now discover that you're allergic to pets, which might cause you to have constrictions in your airways, or your workplace, you're exposed to some kind of chemical that you've never experienced before, you now realize that, oh, okay, you now have asthma. For me, when I moved to the north to school, for secondary school, I was in a particular part of town. I was in Guduru, yeah? Then I went for senior secondary school in Gogola. If you know Abuja well, you know that the climate condition in Gogola is a bit extreme. It's hotter, it's drier and everything. And that was when I started to have asthmatic crisis. Initially, I remember saying in my asthma reveal video that they were not sure that I had asthma because they were not really seeing anything. It was like they were not seeing anything. My uncle was not even saying that maybe it is because of the environment. So when I moved from secondary school and I moved to Benin for university, my uncle was hopeful that the symptoms will stop because I was no longer exposed to those things that he thought was causing it. But eventually I was diagnosed, and then yeah, I was still having the crisis. Okay, so now these may be caused by a lot of things. Some people were not exposed to their potential triggers, which I already mentioned, until they became, you know, adults and all of that. It could also be a viral infection that sets off the asthmatic reaction for the first time in adulthood. So it could be that the first time you had a viral infection was maybe when you were 18, and after that viral infection you were never the same again, and then you started to have asthma symptoms, and then you realized that, you know, you were an asthmatic. Anyway guys, these are the 6 or 7 asthma types that I could find and I could actually understand well enough to explain to you, and I could relate to. There were a few other ones that they called asthma plus COPD. That's another extreme respiratory disease, which we're not talking about today, but that one I couldn't relate to it because it's a very rare condition. Okay, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I feel like I talked to the book more than I talked to you guys. Don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you're a medical person, I always encourage you to please what they call it, challenge what I've said. If you anything I said isn't accurate, so that it can help others, because I don't want to just be spitting everything I see on Google. Let us also know if there's anything I missed out. Anything you can do in the comment section will be helpful for asthmatics like me and the people that are watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us get to 1,000 subscribers, and I will see you guys in my next video. Lots of love, my people. Mwah.